California Governor Gavin Newsom has reacted to the arrest threat issued against him on Monday by the United States, U.S. President Donald Trump over the unrest and ongoing violent protest across the streets of one of the cities in California, Los Angeles, over Trump-led government crackdown and massive raids of immigrants in the Los Angeles city, with the governor daring the president to come and arrest him, that he does not give a damn over his arrest, that he cares more about his communities, with emphasis that the situation in downtown Los Angeles is a manufactured crisis by President Donald Trump-led government. It would be recalled that riots and civil unrest by Americans broke out across Los Angeles on Friday and continued throughout the weekend into this new week to protest local raids conducted by the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE, with the protesters apparently overpowering and overwhelming Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, which thus appears to have prompted a strong response from President Donald Trump. Local media and videos posted online saw rioters caught on camera torching cars and throwing rocks at police vehicles, leading to numerous arrests as the federal guard worked to stamp out the chaotic gathering. Donald Trump is putting fuel on this fire. Commandeering a state's National Guard without consulting the governor of that state is illegal and immoral, Newsom wrote in an X post on Sunday. California will be taking him to court. On Monday, the California governor, Gavin Newsom, added that, "We will not stand by while Donald Trump illegally federalizes the National Guard. This is a manufactured crisis. He is creating fear and terror to take over a state militia and violate the U.S. Constitution. The illegal order he signed could allow him to send the military into any state he wishes." The California governor, Gavin Newsom, who is a Democrat while Trump is Republican, also told local media that he plans to file suit on Monday against the Donald Trump administration to roll back the National Guard deployment, which he called an illegal act, an immoral act, an unconstitutional act, following Trump's move to cite a legal provision that allows him to mobilize federal service members when there is a rebellion or danger of a rebellion against the authority of the government of the United States. It was gathered that more than 1,000 protesters clashed and faced off with National Guard troops in downtown Los Angeles on Sunday during the latest demonstrations against immigration raids that swept across California over the weekend, with roughly 300 National Guard members arriving in the city at the time, with President Trump saying on Monday he had authorized 2,000 members of the National Guard deployed to the troubled area. On April 16, 2025, Governor Gavin Newsom had stated via his verified social media account that Donald Trump does not have the authority to unilaterally impose the largest tax hike of our lifetime with his destructive tariffs. We're taking him to court. The Pentagon also confirmed that President Donald Trump has authorized the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops and activation of 700 Marines to the troubled Los Angeles city. Residents said that the demonstrations began outside in downtown Los Angeles on Friday after the locals became. President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, has confirmed that President Vladimir Putin-led Russia government has set free first batch of Ukrainian prisoners in line with the agreement both countries reached at the last peace meeting in Istanbul, Turkey, adding that the Russia war in Ukraine is still intense at Pokrovsk area of Sumy region. In a video and written press releases on Monday, President Zelensky said, "Today, the first stage of the prisoner exchange agreed in Istanbul has begun. More stages will follow, at least, that's what was discussed with the Russian side. I thank everyone making it happen. I also held a meeting on June's international agenda. No meeting should be hollow. If it doesn't bring us closer to ending the war through diplomacy, it must help strengthen our defense, our active operations, or increase pressure on Russia. I thank our warriors for their tenacity. The most intense fighting continues in the Pokrovsk direction, in the areas of the Kursk operation, and along the border in the Sumy region. Russian tactics remain the same everywhere: ignore losses and try to advance. But this potential isn't infinite. A certain level of casualties, and our actions, shouldn't hinder their advance. Our people are home. Ukrainians are returning home from Russian captivity. Today, an exchange began, which will continue in several stages over the coming days. Among those we are bringing back now are the wounded, the severely wounded, and those under the age of 25. The process is quite complex, with many sensitive details, and negotiations continue virtually every day. We count on the full implementation of the humanitarian agreements reached during the meeting in Istanbul. We are doing everything possible to bring back every single person. We are working toward this at every level. We must bring home everyone who remains in captivity. I thank everyone who is helping. Euronews media that also monitored the prisoners' swap reported that the Ukraine and Russia have started a new prisoners of war exchange, following the agreement reached at the second round of direct talks in Istanbul last Monday. Kyiv and Moscow agreed that the exchange would include young soldiers under 25 years old and those severely ill. Russia's defense ministry confirmed the return of the first group of Russian prisoners of war, POWs as well, without providing details on the swapped soldiers. Ukraine's coordination headquarters for the treatment of prisoners of war said that the first group of released prisoners includes personnel from Ukraine's Navy, Ground Forces, Air Force, National Guard, Border Guard Service, Territorial Defense, and Special Transport Service. Among those returned on Monday are the defenders of Mariupol, who have spent over 3 years in Russian captivity. Most of those returned were captured in the first days of Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, Ukraine's Ombudsman Dmytro Lubinets said. The sides have also agreed to exchange the bodies of the fallen service people. On Sunday, Russia accused Ukraine of postponing the swap and failing to respect the agreement. Moscow said that the trains carrying the bodies of Ukrainian soldiers were due to depart towards the Ukrainian border. Edo State Commissioner of Police, Monday Agbonika, has announced the commencement of house-to-house arrest of people suspected or identified as members of a secret cult group in the south-south geopolitical state of Nigeria. The Commissioner of Police, through the statement issued by the Edo State Police Command spokesperson, Moses Yamu, a few days ago, said that 28 persons were recently arrested during a raid in the state early this month, and 19 of them were implicated as members of secret cult group and charged to court after what the State Police Command described as professional screening. In the statement, the police said, the Edo State Command has sustained its fight against crime through visibility policing, community engagements and sustained raids of criminal hideouts in the state. On the 4th of June 2025, between 1600 hours and 2200 hours, operatives of the command carried out raids of criminal hideouts within Benin City. During the raids, 28 persons were arrested and professionally screened, where 19 of them found implicated were charged to court. In continuation of its fight against cultism, the command has commenced the house-to-house arrests of identified cult members in the state to ensure that cultism is either eliminated or brought to its barest minimum. 3 suspects who were arrested from various locations have confessed to being members of the IEA and AEA confraternities respectively. They have been arraigned before the court accordingly. On this note, CP Monday Agbonika, FDC, expresses confidence that the general public would have no fear of crimes, as he warned all cult members to either denounce cultism and turn a new leaf, relocate from the state, or face the full wrath of the law as contained in the Edo State Secret Cult and Other Related Activities Prohibition Law. The command can be reached on the following lines: Control Room 08037646272, 08077773721, Public Complaints Bureau, PCB, 081509993335, Complaints Response Unit, CRU, 081003899992. Meanwhile, the Edo State Commissioner of Police, CP Monday Agbonika, FDC, on the 28th of May 2025 summoned all area commanders, PMF commanders, DPOs, tactical team commanders etc. for a briefing at the police officers' mess, Benin City. During the briefing, the Commissioner of Police commended the officers for not relenting in the discharge of the duties, as he attributed the successes recorded so far to their relentless efforts. On the issue of unprofessional conduct, the CP warned all officers to lecture their men against acts unbecoming of police officers, noting that zero tolerance for unprofessionalism must be maintained. On this note, the command assures the public that it will continue to improve its service delivery with utmost professionalism, Moses Yamu stated in a press release. We had reported that the Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebholo, has called for more stakeholders' supports and actions towards ending secret cult-related killings and other organized violent crimes in the state, stating that the aged-long secret cult war in the south-south state of Anambra State Command of the Nigeria Police Force in a press statement a few minutes ago says that the combined joint team of men of the Nigeria Police Force, NPF, Department of State Service, DSS, Armed Forces of Nigeria, AFN, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC and Anambra State vigilante members have killed one of the suspected gunmen after 7 hours gun battles with the non-state actors at Agulu Ezechukwu community, a town near Isuofia, the hometown of the incumbent governor of the state, Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, and both towns are in Aguata local government area of the southeast state. According to the police-led joint security operatives comprising the Department of State Service, Army, Navy, Civil Defense and Anambra State vigilante members in the early hours of the 5th of June 2025 raised down an identified criminal camp and neutralized one of the armed hoodlums at Agulu Ezechukwu, Aguata local government area. The operatives also recovered one Ash Toyota Sienna with registration number EKY03FF, one unregistered white Mazda Hilux, one motorcycle, some household kitchen items which include pots, gallons, groceries, some sleeping mattresses, Manchinkle tools, clothes and other incriminating items. The joint security force in a well-coordinated operation overran the criminal camp after a 7-hour gun duel with the armed hoodlums. Meanwhile, the operatives are still combing the area for possible arrest of other fleeing suspects because of a lot of fresh blood stains in the area. Further developments would be communicated, please. SP Tochukwu Akenga, the police public relations officer, Anambra State Police Command stated. Few hours ago, we had reported that more than a day after Aganekemba security outfit came under attack at Amunze town, the special state vigilante group established by Anambra State government under the leadership of Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo to boost the level of security in the state. No one among the armed groups fighting in the southeastern part of Nigeria has claimed responsibility for the early Thursday morning attack that left one of the special vigilante group members dead, another injured, with 5 of the vigilante operational vehicles burnt to ashes, even when one of the Biafra armed groups, Biafra Defense Forces, BDF led by Igwe Butuzor, often described by the secessionist armed group as General and the Chief of Defense Staff, CDs in charge of the Biafra government in homeland, had in early April 2025 reiterated and announced their presence in the Arumba local government area of Anambra State that has Amunze town as the administrative headquarters in the Arumba South Council area. The BDF in a statement issued via its social media handle had in April stated that the Biafra Liberation Army had a face-off with the Nigerian terrorist military in Arumba, Old Anambra State. The good news is that the men of the BLA defeated them despite the heavy bomb they thrown on us. The Nigerian terrorist military is tired of fighting the Biafra Liberation Army in Orsu, Olu, Orsumahu, Ahala, etc., but cannot stop coming more than a day after Aganekemba security outfit came under attack at Amunze town. The special state vigilante group established by Anambra State government under the leadership of Governor Charles Chukwuma Soludo to boost the level of security in the state. No one among the armed groups fighting in the southeastern part of Nigeria has claimed responsibility for the early Thursday morning attack that left one of the special vigilante group members dead, another injured, with 5 of the vigilante operational vehicles burnt to ashes, even when one of the Biafra armed groups, Biafra Defense Forces, BDF led by Igwe Butuzor, often described by the secessionist armed group as General and the Chief of Defense Staff, CDs in charge of the Biafra government in homeland, had in early April 2025 reiterated and announced their presence in the Arumba local government area of Anambra State that has Amunze town as the administrative headquarters in the Arumba South Council area. The BDF, in a statement issued via its social media handle, had in April stated that the Biafra Liberation Army had a face-off with the Nigerian terrorist military in Arumba, Old Anambra State. The good news is that the men of the BLA defeated them despite the heavy bomb they thrown on us. The Nigerian terrorist military is tired of fighting the Biafra Liberation Army in Orsu, Olu, Orsumahu, Pahala, etc., but cannot stop coming despite the numerous death they incurred every day they come fight. They are surprised by the resistance they always get. What is killing them is what they don't know. Biafra must be liberated. In other series of statements issued to confirm and claim responsibility for certain attacks in recent months, the BDF stated as presented below. This is to inform the general public and Biafrans at large that the Biafra Defense Forces do not post when it is not necessary. We do so on the order of our commander, General the CDs of the Biafra Defense Forces, Land and Air, Igwe Butuzo. Disregard any misleading information. The Biafra Defense Forces Lilu Command dealt mercilessly with the terrorist Nigerian military today, the 4th of June 2025. Remember, no Biafra, no peace. The Biafra Naval Force, known as the Black Marine, launched a deadly attack on the maritime border, killing 9 Cameroonian BIR terrorists and destroying oil installations. This development has forced both Nigeria and Cameroon to suspend the already resumed oil drilling the maritime. The Biafra Defense Force, BDF, has neutralized scores of the contracted Nigerian terrorist military and destroyed their armored tanks. This is Saturday's event. Mind you, the war of liberation is ongoing until total victory is won. Several ambulances conveying the dead bodies of the Nigerian military en routed through Ihiala by the Ihiala Market Road. The ground fight is still ICK through Mbosi. Several of the Nigerian terrorist military has been neutralized. You can't cross the BDF red line and still remain the same. This was on the 4th of May 2025. Our resistance is top-notch. The God of the Biafra Defense Forces is potent and has revised the enemy's weapons of mass destruction target against us to their own self-destruction. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has told a federal high court sitting in Lagos State that the elder brother of Paul and Peter Okoye of P Square music brand, Jude Okoye, allegedly stole 1,380 million naira from the twin music stars and used 850 million naira from the alleged proceed of crime to purchase a land in Lagos State after he created and registered a company with a near similar name to outsmart his younger brothers who he was managing as their record label directors at the time of the crime. According to EFCC news release, Justice A. Owoi of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos, on Wednesday, June 4, 2025, adjourned till October 23, 2025 further hearing in the alleged 1.38 billion naira's fraud involving Jude Chigozie Okoye, elder brother and former manager of Paul and Peter Okoye. The Lagos Zonal Directorate 1 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, is prosecuting Okoye alongside his company, Northside Music Limited, on a 7-count charge bordering on money laundering to the tune of 1.38 billion nairas. One of the counts reads, that you, Jude Okoye Chigozie and Northside Music Limited, sometime in 2022, in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, did directly acquire a landed property known as Number 5, Tony Eramasele Street, Parkview Estate, Ikoyi, Lagos, worth 850 million nairas, 850 million naira only, which money you knew or reasonably ought to have known form part of proceeds of unlawful act and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 18(2)(b) and punishable under Section 18(3) of the Money Laundering, Prevention and Prohibition Act, 2022. He pleaded not guilty to the charges when they were read to him upon his arraignment on February 26, 2025. At the resumed sitting on Wednesday, the first prosecution witness, PW1, Peter Obumuni Okoye, while being cross-examined by the defense counsel, Clement Onwuawan San, said that he never signed any check and had no access to the accounts while still signed to Northside Entertainment. He also told the court that, although he received some money from the EcoBank account of the company, they were not royalties because the account also received millions of dollars from endorsements and shows. He maintained that he never knew about the existence of Northside Music Limited, his brother's company, until late 2022, and that he didn't receive any proceeds from Lex Records all through his time at the company. Justice Owai, thereafter, adjourned the matter till October 23 and November 10, 2025 for continuation of trial. Meanwhile, Peter Okoye of the P-Square Music Group has reacted to a statement by a media page named The Nigeria Lawyer, claiming his statement to the EFCC was full of lies. Oga publicist is still trying harder to misinform the public. When did, the judge cautions Peter Okoye. Peter emphasized that he believes that the truth will prevail and criticized his brothers, alleging that they were involved in wrongdoing. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has given reasons why the country under Russia attacks is currently launching offensive actions deep inside Russia territories, saying, almost every single day, Russia fired hundreds of drones and missiles into Ukrainian cities, especially civilian or residential areas, killing civilians, women and children, specifically stating that, a day before Ukraine military launched the drone strikes that destroyed over 40 bomber plane carriers inside Russia military airfields on Sunday, Russia attacked Ukraine overnight with 480 drones and missiles. Zelensky stated this while responding to questions from journalists who engaged him via online video call. Ukraine said on Tuesday that it had hit the bridge connecting Russia and the occupied Crimean Peninsula with explosives planted underwater, in its third attack on the vital supply line for Moscow's forces since the full-scale war began in 2022, according to CNN. According to CNN, Ukraine's security service, the SBU, said on Telegram that its agents had mined the piers of the road and rail Crimean Bridge, also called the Kerch Bridge, and detonated the first explosive at 4:44 a.m. Tuesday. The whole operation took several months, it added. The agency said it had used 1,100 kilograms of explosives which severely damaged the underwater pillars supporting the bridge. Traffic on the bridge was suspended early Tuesday morning, then again mid-afternoon, before resuming shortly before 6 p.m. local time. Although the scale of the damage was not immediately clear, Tuesday's attack is the latest example of the SBU's attempts to blindside Moscow and demonstrate that there are costs to continuing its war. President Zelensky on Monday and Tuesday stated that, right now in Sumy region, doctors are providing all necessary assistance to those wounded by a Russian strike. The Russians struck right on the street, hitting ordinary residential buildings. Sleazebags. There have been virtually no days without killings during this whole time, while the United States, Europe, and other global actors have been urging Russia to agree to a ceasefire and negotiations to end the war. But Russia remains fully committed to war, and they prove it with both their strikes and their statements. All of this is the argument for new, tougher sanctions against Russia. I'm grateful to all Americans and Europeans who support this approach of pressuring Russia into peace. It's extremely important. Russia must feel what war truly means. When asked by journalists whether yesterday's operation might enrage the Russians, I responded that just a day earlier, Russia had launched a massive overnight attack on Ukraine, over 480 drones and missiles. They struck civilian infrastructure, residential buildings. There were casualties, people killed and injured. This happens every single day. Sometimes there's a short pause, and to be honest, we now call it a pause, if there's just no one killed that night. But even then, drones still fly, and people still get wounded. These so-called pauses just mean fewer attacks than usual, but we're still talking about dozens of drones and cruise missiles. So Nigeria Anti-Corruption Police, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC has arrested a 63-year-old man, Ernesto Chukwudumchukwukama, who allegedly presented himself as a journalist working with the EFCC to defraud an unsuspecting victim a sum of 2 million naira with the pretense to help discontinue the investigation of $4.5 billion fraud in the Nigeria Petroleum Trust Fund, PTF. Details of this report and other news is made available by the Public Relations Department of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC reads verbatim below. EFCC arrests fake journalist for claiming to stop investigation of alleged $4.5 billion PTF fraud. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested a fake journalist, Ernesto Chukwudumchukwukama, for alleged extortion, impersonation and obtaining 2 million naira, under false pretense to influence the investigation of the sum of $4.5 billion, $4.5 billion United States dollars, alleged Petroleum Trust Fund, PTF fraud. Chukwukama, 63, was arrested for allegedly threatening the life of a petitioner and receiving financial inducement from him to stop the investigation of $4.5 billion alleged Petroleum Trust Fund, PTF fraud. The suspect allegedly presented himself to the petitioner as a journalist attached to the EFCC. He also allegedly informed the petitioner that other journalists who are members of a correspondence chapel attached to the commission had a report of how he stole the sum of $4.5 billion in the process of winding up the activities of the Petroleum Trust Fund. Investigation revealed that the suspect had already received the sum of 2 million naira from the petitioner and was arrested while attempting to withdraw the funds. He will be charged to court upon conclusion of investigation. Lagos court jails 8 Filipinos for cyber-terrorism, internet fraud. Justice Alexander Owoeye of the Federal High Court sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos, on Tuesday, May 27, 2025, convicted and sentenced 8 Filipinos to 1 year imprisonment each for cyber-terrorism and internet fraud. The convicts are Beverly Casino, Mayarable, Mary Grace de la Cruz, Jamal Pali, Trisha Castro, Rai Kamara, Cherry de Leon and Danica Jarapan. They were arraigned on Tuesday by the Lagos Zonal Directorate 1 of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on separate charges of possession of fraudulent documents. One of the counts reads, that Beverly Casino sometime in December 2024, in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, willfully caused to be accessed computer systems organized to seriously destabilize and destroy the fundamental economic and social structure of Nigeria when you employed Nigerian youths for identity theft and to hold themselves out as persons of foreign nationality, with the intent to gain a financial advantage for yourselves, and you thereby committed an offense contrary to and punishable under Section 18 of the Cybercrimes Pro. Benue State Governor, Reverend Father Hyacinth Lawmamalia, has confirmed the killing of 23 persons by herdsmen who invaded the Naka community and other communities in Apa and GWA West local government areas on Sunday. The governor, in a statement he issued on his personal X social media profile, said, the attacks on the locals were unprovoked. On Tuesday, large numbers of women were seen on protest march in Apa local government area over the weekend herdsman killings, which the women said have continued unabated due to government negligent attitude of governance. The women, dressed in black and carrying placards, marched through major roads, demanding urgent intervention from the state and federal governments. The women gathered at the major road in Ugbokpo, the local government area headquarters, expressing deep anguish over the escalating violence that has left many widowed and children orphaned. It was gathered that communities like Ajaha Akobi, Edikwu Ankpali, and Odigbo have suffered multiple deadly attacks in recent times. Protesting with one of the placard inscriptions, Voice of the Hopeless Women, the women presented a letter at the local government headquarters detailing their pain over what they described as relentless assaults on their families, homes, and farmlands. Benue State Governor Hyacinth Lawmamalia in a statement stated that, it is with a heavy heart that I confirm the loss of 23 innocent lives, 12 in Apa and 11 in GWA West local government areas, due to brutal and unprovoked attacks. These killings are unacceptable, and as your governor, I will not sit idle while our communities are turned into killing fields. Following an emergency Security Council meeting this morning at Government House, I have ordered joint security forces to immediately move into the affected areas and beyond. Their mission is clear: stop the violence, sweep the communities, and restore peace. This government stands firmly with every grieving family and displaced resident. We are mobilizing every available resource to protect lives and bring those responsible for these heinous acts to justice. More updates will follow as our security teams are on the ground. I urge all citizens to remain vigilant and cooperate with security operatives as they carry out the duty. Benue State Police Command of the Nigeria Police Force, in a statement on Monday, said that the Commissioner of Police in the state has redeployed and relocated some of its top officers to the affected communities with a mandate to restore peace and order and as well arrest perpetrators of the crime. The Benue State Police Command, under the leadership of CPM Area Fanyi, has deployed resources to flashpoints in the state including Apa and GWA West local government areas where 10 and 12 persons lost their lives respectively and 5 others were hospitalized. In the last 1 month, personnel posted to these areas have been contending with these attackers and have suppressed them in most areas. Unfortunately, these drowning bandits searched for vulnerable persons and attacked them, killing some persons on the 1st of June 2025. However, the CP assures affected communities of his resolve to fight these attackers till they submit to the rule of law. He has deployed additional police officers to beef up security. Residents in Zamfara State, one of the troubled states in Nigeria with frequent attacks on the locals by bandits, have reported that not less than 20 vigilantes were killed apparently in error by the Nigerian Air Force fighter jet on Saturday when a group of vigilante members gave a chase to invading bandits who killed and abducted a lot of persons, most especially farmers at Garamani, Mariah and Wabi villages in Maru local government area of Zamfara State. This, an apparent military insider news media, Zagazola, in its publication titled, "Airstrike in Zamfara Kills Over 20 Bandits," but claims vigilante casualties, released on Monday, claimed that only 5 vigilante members were killed because the victims failed to follow operational guidelines of military joint operations. Specifically, the probably pro-government and military news media stated that when the vigilantes were given signal to retreat, they failed to do so. According to the Zagazola media, the Nigerian army has confirmed that over 20 bandits were neutralized during a coordinated air interdiction operation in Mariah and Wabi villages of Maru local government area of Zamfara State, while 4 members of a local vigilante group were also affected in the attack. Zagazola Makama gathered from reliably sources that the airstrike, which occurred on Saturday, May 31st, was followed by a ground exploitation mission on Saturday by troops of 1 Brigade Operation Fansan Yanma to assess the impact and conduct clearance operations in the area. The sources said that the interdiction inflicted significant losses on the terrorists, including the destruction of their motorcycles and equipment. During the exploitation on June 1st, it was confirmed that over 20 bandits were neutralized and several motorcycles destroyed, the source stated. However, the source also confirmed that some number of vigilante personnel were mistakenly caught in the strike due to a failure to comply with withdrawal orders issued ahead of the operation. Unfortunately, 5 vigilante members were killed, while 2 others sustained injuries and are currently receiving treatment in the hospital. A few others sustained minor injuries and did not require hospitalization, the source added. According to field reports, the leader of the vigilante group has accepted full responsibility for the casualties suffered by his men, stating that they disregarded earlier instructions to withdraw from the outskirts of the village ahead of the airstrike. He admitted that despite being informed of the imminent air operation, some of the vigilante youths insisted on pursuing the fleeing bandits and were still within the target area when the aircraft struck, the military source said. Zagazola learned that the interdiction was part of intensified counterterrorism efforts by troops under Operation Hadaran Daji to degrade the operational capacity of armed groups terrorizing communities across Zamfara and neighboring states. The sources said that the military has consistently warned local security outfits and civilian volunteers to adhere strictly to operational guidelines and instructions during joint operations to prevent unintended casualties. The latest operation comes amid renewed efforts by the Nigerian armed forces to stabilize rural areas ahead of the farming season and restore civil authority in volatile communities across the northwest. Reports from Mokwa community in Niger State on Monday indicated that over 153 people have been confirmed dead, with hundreds of houses destroyed as floodwaters submerged large part of the community during the heavy downpour that occurred last Wednesday and Thursday, with residents stating with video footage that the floodwaters washed away thousands of families who were still asleep as at 5 a.m. on Wednesday when the water started submerging parts of Tifon Maza and Angu and Hausawa communities in Mokwa, and some of those who woke up immediately to escape the floodwaters, as seen in one of the video footages, ran to rooftop of a house, but they were all completely washed away as the floodwaters destroyed the building. Director General of National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Zubaida Umar had confirmed in a statement she issued on Saturday that over 151 bodies have been recovered from the scene of the floodwater disaster, adding, search and rescue efforts were still ongoing to account for missing persons. Aspired Alliance team who joined the rescue team in Mokwa in a statement on Monday said that as of Monday afternoon, the death toll has risen to 153. According to the Aspired Alliance team, as of today, Monday, June 2, 2025, 153 dead bodies have been recovered as a result of the Mokwa flood disaster, with search and recovery operations still ongoing. Aspire Alliance team are very much on site to access the situations at the separate IDP camps inaugurated. It was gathered that the relief materials from Hajia Fatima Muhammad Bago, wife of Niger State's governor, have arrived at the IDP's camp in Pege Primary School, Mokwa. Distribution to affected families will begin immediately, as instructed by the council chairman, according to local media. Zubaida Umar, Director General, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA on Saturday stated as presented verbatim below. Mokwa flooding. Situation report updates as at 10 p.m., Saturday, May 31, 2025. The National Emergency Management Agency, together with other sister emergency response bodies, is intensifying efforts to rescue and save missing persons and provide relief to disaster victims and their families. Our Rapid Response and Recovery team conducted a symbolic distribution of the relief materials to affected persons and then handed over to the local government area, SEMA, and community leader, Sarkin Hausawa, to continue the distribution. So far, 151 bodies have been recovered, 503 households and 264 houses have been affected, and 3,018 individuals displaced. We are also closely monitoring the full recovery of all the initially admitted victims at various health centers that are now treated and discharged. The 2 township roads and bridges that were damaged by the flooding have impacted vehicular movement and economic activities negatively. Working together with the state government, we are rerouting traffic to alternative roads within the town. We are providing potable water for domestic use of residents within the affected communities, including other hygiene measures, to prevent the outbreak of waterborne diseases associated with flooding disasters. In line, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has confirmed that Ukraine on Sunday launched a large scale of multiple drones to attack and destroy cruise missiles warplane carriers stationed at the military airfields of 5 Russian cities of Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan and Amur regions, with Zelensky saying that it took Ukraine 1 year and 6 months to plan and execute the attacks, stating that all those who were in Russia territories that aided the successful execution of the planned attack are safe and they have all returned to Ukraine. According to Zelensky in a video press release late night on Sunday, today, a brilliant operation was carried out. The preparation took over a year and a half. What's most interesting is that the office of our operation on Russian territory was located directly next to FSB headquarters in one of their regions. In total, 117 drones were used in the operation with a corresponding number of drone operators involved. 34% of the strategic cruise missile carriers stationed at air bases were hit. We will continue this work. Maria Avdieva, a close watcher of the ongoing war in Ukraine, had stated on her verified X social media handle that this will be in textbooks. Ukraine secretly delivered FPV drones and wooden mobile cabins into Russia. The drones were hidden under the roofs of the cabins, which were later mounted on trucks. At the signal, the roofs opened remotely. Dozens of drones launched directly from the trucks, striking strategic bomber aircraft. And Russia can't produce these bombers anymore. The loss is massive. Nothing like this has ever been done before. Russia's Ministry of Defense earlier on Sunday acknowledged the strikes on airfields across 5 regions. On Telegram, the Russia Defense Ministry stated that Ukraine carried out what it said was a terrorist attack in the regions of Murmansk, Irkutsk, Ivanovo, Ryazan and Amur. The ministry says that all of the attacks were repelled. It says, as a result of the launch of FPV drones from the territory located in the immediate vicinity of airfields, several pieces of aviation equipment caught fire. The fires have now been extinguished, it adds. In some numbers of posts between Sunday and Friday, President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine had said, "I heard reports from the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the General Staff, our intelligence agencies, and the Security Service of Ukraine. Our defense, our active actions, and our diplomacy. We are doing everything to protect our independence, our state, and our people." I outlined the tasks for the near term and also defined our positions ahead of the meeting in Istanbul on Monday. First, a full and unconditional ceasefire. Second, the release of prisoners. Third, the return of abducted children. And in order to establish a reliable and lasting peace and ensure security, preparation of the meeting at the highest level. The key issues can only be resolved by the leaders. On Monday, our delegation will be led by Rustam Umarov. Today, we visited the book Arsenal Together, now in its 13th year. And this speaks volumes.
Welcome, bringing you the news in a more digital way.